All right, let's talk about something that we call welfare economics. And this is a study of the questions about the net effects, the net costs and benefits of changes in a market, and asking how efficient is something? Are we getting the most out of this situation? Now, let's stick with our example of a supply shift. Now, as we surely all know, when supply shifts up and to the left, that sucks, right? No way around it. If there's a big storm that makes the price of gas go up, that sucks. If there's a global pandemic that makes it harder to find toilet paper, that sucks. So then the question is, how do we make it suck the least? How do we get the most out of our newly limited situations? Do we really want the price to go up? So, as a reminder, when we think about our demand curve or our supply curve, we draw a line because it's simple, but really we have a bar chart behind the scenes. So let's imagine a really simple market for toilet paper where we have the red buyer and the blue buyer, and both of them have some pretty urgent needs for toilet paper, but at lower prices they're willing to buy further out in time. So right now there is someone on Long Island who has like 8 years worth of toilet paper stacked up in their garage. They're getting their urgent needs, but they're also getting stuff further down their demand curve that's less beneficial to them. Certainly less beneficial than it might be to their neighbors who maybe don't have enough toilet paper. So, if we've only got 2 units of toilet paper in this market, we want red and blue to each get 1 unit. But let's imagine that we used to have some price and we just leave that price low. So let's say the price was here, right? So call it $10 for a pack of toilet paper. In that situation, given this demand curve reflecting panic, what happens is maybe the red person gets to the store first. And if they do that, they're going to buy both of these 2 units of toilet paper, right? Let's make that explicit. Quantity supplied equals 2. So if the red person gets to the market first, they get both units. If the blue person gets there first, they buy 1 unit, and then the red person buys a 2nd unit, which they only use for their higher priority needs. They don't bury it in their backyard bunker. So our best situation, given that we have this low price, is that we hope the blue person shows up first. But we have no guarantee that that's going to be the case. If we were to raise the price, what we're able to do is guarantee that the blue person gets that urgent need fulfilled. They have to pay more for it, but like I said, supply curves suck. In this case, it sucks in the form of paying a higher price for toilet paper, which is a better outcome than paying for it in a situation where you have no toilet paper. So this is why we like to see prices, because they help to give us the information necessary to make wise decisions and economize on these scarce resources and allow them to move to their highest valued uses. When we start in our initial supply and demand situation, call that point A, what happens is the only people who buy are the people who value the product highly enough. Now, let's say we have our supply shift. Actually, before we get to that, we'll cut out the supply shift and we'll just say, where do we start? What is our net outcome? So in the textbook, you saw the stuff about consumer surplus, producer surplus, and that's all well and good. I'm going to present a slightly different view on the same thing that I find a little bit easier to work with. And that is to think the benefit on this market is the area under the demand curve, because it just represents adding up the value of each bar on the bar chart that we implicitly have here. So this unit is this much plus this plus this plus this plus this. So if this is 1 million bottles of water, and we've got, let's say, an average value across this span of, let's say, 250. In that case, we have $2.5 million of value being supplied by bottled water, holding constant things like your ability to access a drinking fountain if necessary. So all else equal, we're getting $2.5 million total benefit. And then we can ask, what about the cost? The cost is just the area under the supply curve. So again, 1 million units times whatever the average is here. Let's make that up as 50 cents. So our total cost equals $500,000, and our net benefit on this market is $2 million. Can we do any better? Well, if we cut back, we would be giving up more valuable bottles of water than we would be saving in cost. We would allow some resources to move out of the bottling industry towards something else, but the value of reallocating those resources is not enough to justify that decision, because we'd be losing more value here. So we do not want to have less than 1 million bottles of water if this supply and demand graph reflects the underlying economic reality. What about going for more? Well, if we go for more, we're going to add more costs. We're going to have to add more expensive production capacity. If we had cheaper capacity available, we would have already used it. So getting more bottles of water necessarily means paying a higher cost than the old price. So if the old price was $1, any new bottles of water we're going to get by expanding production is going to mean increasing costs by more than $1 per bottle. The additional benefits are going to go to uses that are less urgent than $1. We're going to be adding benefits. So more water means more benefits and more costs, but it means more costs than additional benefits. The result we get out of this is additional costs exceed additional benefits. Total benefits are going to go up, maybe to say 3 million, but then maybe the costs go up to, let's say 1.2 million. In that case, we add $500,000 benefit, but we add $700,000 cost. And we would say this dead weight loss, this loss of potential, would be 200,000 given those made up numbers. So the important thing to realize here is we can have too much of a good thing, and we'd call that dead weight loss. Dead weight loss. Or we could have too little of a good thing, and that would also give us dead weight loss. Now, I'm going to stop here and then do a quick video about how I've seen clever students try to get too much of a good thing in classroom experiments.